Hey, welcome to the first video on my channel. So this is like books and things that I have read. So I feel like the first book I should talk about was the book that really got me into reading again. One of my friends recommended it to me and I was like, okay, a book recommendation, whatever. I have a billion of those. But, so I just decided to buy it one day when we were at Barnes & Noble. And then one day I just decided to read it and it rocked my world, changed everything for me. Now I read like so many books and I love it. The book we are going to be talking about is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This book is incredible. I'm going to read the synopsis. I've seen this podcast I listen to called Hardcover Hose. They like to read the synopsis first just to get everyone on the same page about what the book is about. Achilles, the best of all the Greeks, son of the cruel sea goddess Thetis and the legendary King Peleus, is strong, swift, and beautiful, irresistible to all who meet him. Patroclus is an awkward young prince exiled from his homeland after an act of shocking violence. Brought together by chance, they forge an inseparable bond despite risking the god's wrath. They are trained by the centaur Chiron in the arts of war and medicine, but when word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, all the heroes of Greece are called upon to lay siege to Troy in her name. Seduced by the promise of a glorious destiny, Achilles joins their cause, and torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus follows. Little do they know that the cruel fates will test them both as never before and demand a terrible sacrifice. Let me just point out that they just say friends, but whatever, we're gonna move past that. It's like tied with one of my favorite books of all time. It's the first one I've read. I have such an emotional bond to this book, and I recommend it to literally everybody, and I think literally everybody should have to read it legally. Legally, please read this book. If you like good things that are good, and you like to be sad, I'm not trying to make you be sad, but read this book. I'm gonna say that probably 50 times in this video, that you should read it. So basically, this takes place from the point of view of Patroclus, just the greatest person in the world. He was my favorite character the whole time. I related to him so much. He's definitely a Cancer, he's definitely an INFP. He is just so sweet and kind and caring and selfless, taking care of the women that were being kidnapped during the Trojan War by the Greeks. After reading the first chapter, I literally knew I was gonna suffer because I don't really know. When I went into it, I didn't know the whole myth and everything because it's based on the Iliad. And yeah, so a lot of people didn't know going into it, oh, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. I had no clue. So, shattered me. I was literally limiting myself to 2 chapters per day because I could have devoured it in one sitting. But I knew I didn't want the pain yet, and I just cried and cried and cried and cried, and every time I got in my car I could only put on sad music and cry. The writing of this is top tier. Madeline Miller does an excellent job of combining the myth with a character study of these characters that never really got the full limelight, and this is my Iliad. This is Greek mythology to me. This is it. Slightly spoiler, we'll have slightly spoilers and then spoilers. So the best part of this book was definitely the relationship between Patroclus, Patty, and Achilles. Their love was otherworldly. I don't know, it makes me so happy to think about. Look at this little baby I got. Oh my god. I was in a frenzy after I finished this book. I was buying everything. I was on Etsy every day. I was finding things, but look, it's them. It's them. A lot of themes of this book are, obviously love and war and sacrifice and destiny and also parental bonds, veiled ones. But the turning point of this book for me was when Achilles was assigned basically to go train with the centaur Chiron. And it was this whole thing, Achilles had to leave and Patroclus was just at his castle, Achilles' castle, and he couldn't freaking live with himself. And he was just you know what, screw it. I don't care what happens to me. I'm running away. I'm not meant to be here without him. I'm not meant to be here. So he just leaves and he's running away. He doesn't have any food. He has nothing. And he gets somewhere and there's Achilles and he was I was waiting on you. And and it's gonna be a murderous feeling of my soul. A part of me died in this book. A part of me died. I really liked about this book was who Thetis was, because she was raped by King Peleus, Achilles' dad. Thetis is Achilles' mom. She's like a Cena, so she's immortal, and she wants her son to be immortal, and she's the one that's really like, your destiny matters, like you're destined for greatness, like don't let Patroclus slow you down. Like she does not like Patty at all, and it was always this ordeal, because when they were training with Chiron, she couldn't see, but she was always popping up, having to talk to Achilles, and always crapping on Patroclus. So, you know, the first whole part that you're just like, I don't like this lady, but she makes a turn. Ooh. Okay, now for more spoilers. Okay. Definitely read the book and come back and watch this. Read it because I don't want to spoil it, and you should have to feel what I felt. I think everyone should feel this pain. It's only fair. Oh, I also do have 2 covers, I would just like to say, because I got this one originally. This is the first one I read. And then I went to Barnes & Noble's one day and I saw this thing with the blue pages. I'm buying it. I don't care. I'm such a materialistic person. It's not okay. But like, I needed a hardback. It's beautiful. I bought it and I love it. It's a Barnes & Noble exclusive cover. Okay, but yeah, spoilers. The most memorable part for this of me was when Patroclus decided that he was going to dress in Achilles' armor and go fight the Trojans. He did it basically because Achilles wasn't willing to go fight, and Patroclus cared about his honor and wanted to protect him, because the whole thing was like, once Hector died, Achilles was set to die. So they were like, we're just not gonna kill Hector. We'll kill everybody else, not Hector. So it goes on for 10 years. The war goes on for 10 years because Hector is still alive and he's the strongest person on the Trojan side. So basically, Patty puts on the armor, goes fight, gets freaking murked by Hector. And then when I tell you the pain that ensues of Achilles finding out, like this man is ripping out his hair, like he is just taking Patroclus' body everywhere he goes. He won't even bury him. He's just like in his room with the body for days. And then once he finally does kill Hector, because he obviously has no reason to live anymore. He doesn't care about his life, and he just wants revenge now. Which, love a revenge story. He kills him, and then he's so disrespectful to Hector, which, I mean, screw Hector. He killed Patty, but he's like dragging his body behind his cart and like not giving it back. Eventually it was Briseis, one of the women of Troy, who was kidnapped and taken as a slave, that Patroclus was protecting, who also loved Patroclus so much that was like, you're not the only one that loved him. Like, I loved him too, and we need to bury him. And so they do bury him. But his grave was not marked. And so he was just like in limbo. And even after he died, it's still through Patroclus' point of view, which is so interesting. Because I'm telling you, the writing is top tier. Some of the best writing I've ever read, even to this day. Madeline Miller has another book called Circe, right here. And writing, like, she's just so consistent. It's amazing. Apparently she has a new book coming out about Hades and Persephone, called Persephone, and I'm gonna eat it up. I'm gonna eat it up as soon as it comes out. But okay, another thing, I already mentioned hardcover hose the podcast, but they mention why is it called the Song of Achilles, because obviously the story of Achilles, but there is a part of the book that Achilles could play the lyre so beautiful that Patroclus, I could just listen to him play for the rest of my life. He was so good at the lyre, and he loved plums. He just loved some plums, or was it figs? No, I think it was figs. Just loved them. And it's just like the little things that like he was more than just a warrior, and that's what Patroclus loved about him. And so I think that's like the Song of Achilles, him playing the lyre, like the happy moments of this book, the best moments of this book. Some other standout characters, obviously Briseis, and then Clytemnestra, who her daughter, Clytemnestra is married to King Agamemnon, and he was leading like this whole war. He was leading it all for the Greeks. And his firstborn daughter, Iphigenia, He basically kills his own daughter in front of Achilles, and Clytemnestra has no idea. So like, you know, trauma, this poor lady. But she was really standing out because I was like, I want to know what ensues. I want to know what ensues. And what ensues is wild. She is innocent, y'all. Anyways, hate Agamemnon. Hate that man. He was always such a freaking problem in this book. God, but he gets justice. Justice comes. I hope you know justice comes. So like, if you like this book, I also have some other recommendations. I would recommend, obviously, Circe by Madeline Miller. Deep dives into who she is. And some people like it more than the Song of Achilles. And, you know, I respect it. Another one I'd recommend is 1,000 Ships. It's a bunch of different stories, only from the point of view of the women in the Trojan War. So, I don't know, I want to say there's like 20 different short stories, which that one was really good. You get to see some of Clytemnestra, which I was like, okay. And the one I would really recommend if you like Clytemnestra is Electra. So Electra is basically Agamemnon and Clytemnestra's youngest daughter. And don't really stand Electra, but there's 3 point of views. So you have Electra, Cassandra, who's like a prophet on the Troy side, and Clytemnestra. And when I tell you I love that book just for Clytemnestra, justice is served to Agamemnon. She sees to it, y'all. She sees to it. So love her for that. And I also want to start saying like what song this book reminded me of. I'll do it for all my books. But I'm gonna go Atlantis by Seafret because it's so sad. And I just had this whole playlist I would listen to every time I got in my car to make me cry. So yeah, so that's the Song of Achilles. I hope you guys will please read this book and come and hit me up and let me know what you think of it. Yeah, so thanks for watching.